is buffer time? What is buffer time? Is what buffer time?
What is buffer time? The ever-knowing question. It's kind of like the say-lot that ate its tail. It's some philosophical mumbo-jumbo, and we'll dig into that after we introduce ourselves. Let's go around clockwise. I'm Dustin from Best of Trek.
Hello, I'm Shereese, the sci-fi savage.
I am Scott from Opinions No One Cares About.
I'm Ren from Ren Rants.
I am Vanessa, and I host a YouTube channel called I Love Bad Lobsters.
Lobster, I hardly know her. My name is Josh, and I'm from Windgrace Project.
And we are going to take this joke about Cole Meany's 2006 movie, A Lobster Tale, as far as you in the audience will let us.
As long as lobster season.
We've got an awful lot of lobster to get into today.
Mm-hmm.
We've got more questions than we can ever possibly ask. A lot of us have a lot of big thoughts about the episode, positive and negative. Is this a promising start to Captain Kirk? Kirk as captain, specifically.
It's not bad.
I mean, yes and no. I think the bit about like his crisis of confidence and gaining confidence to lead was good. Although, admittedly, I do think it's kind of wild that he had to learn a lesson that required him to kill 7,000 human beings.
Welcome to Starfleet.
Whoa!
These
How they
things
roll.
happen sometimes.
That's how they roll.
Yeah.
But here's the thing,
Yeah.
the thing, and I'm sure this question will come up later. The bigger issue for me was the fact that he was like 7,000 human beings. So if they had been literally any alien species, he would have been like, "Serve you
7,000
right."
That's a big thing,
was
isn't it?
bad.
7,000 Ks on me.
Right. Yeah.
And
exactly.
Americans. They were
Borg? Good.
too.
Like,
Thank
did he
God,
have to go
huh?
right to lethal force? Was there no other way to like disable the ship? Like, I see using the opportunity to like explode it from inside, but I don't know. There's got to be some like non-lethal middle ground.
See, I feel like though this was like kill or be killed in this situation.
Does
Humans
this
or
feel like
whatever were in
9/11?
those.
Does this feel like 9/11
Yes,
to
it does.
anybody? Except we did it. Except the Federation did it.
Wow.
Also,
Either way, the government.
well, worse arguably because this was a generational ship, so he just killed a city's worth of families.
But had he not, the city's worth of families would have killed them both. So
Right,
yes,
right,
there
but,
could have been some other option that they could have come to, but I feel like they were trying to fight for their lives, and I feel like the moral impact of the story was supposed to be the fact that they were humans. I don't think that's the question. Like that's the right question. Because the secondary part to that question of like 7,000 human beings was like, how did they get like this? They were the best of us. And for some reason they went around just like pillaging and murdering and destroying and blowing up whole planets that were full of people.
I
I
don't love the absolutism of Kurtzman Trek in general, where everybody's just wholly good or wholly bad, because then it twists people's minds into thinking that people are wholly good and wholly bad. And the fact that they destroyed a planet right at the beginning sort of eradicates any sort of nuanced discussion or any sort of reaching out to communicate, because we never find out why they do that. They just pillage and take, but we never get an understanding of them. So I find their eradication super convenient.
Only a Sith knows
or
the
not.
truth.
Yeah,
Wrong for-
I would say it's a rocky start for sure. And he's getting Chat GPT level glazing advice from both Pike and Spock. Oh, just follow your instincts. Even though he almost just ordered people to beam onto a planet that's about to be destroyed. And, just like, I would just say, you know what, maybe your instincts aren't the best. if that's your impulse, because we would have
You know what,
always.
Jim? How the hell did you get to, second in command, buddy?
Yeah.
I'd like to know what kind of instincts people saw in you to put you in this position, and then you're just like, why don't we beam down to a planet that's literally about to explode within fucking seconds? I know this is possible.
And he was like,
Yeah.
this seemed to be an ongoing source of conflict for him, was going by the book or not. Again, that same issue of like, what is even the book? Does anybody even have the book? Or they just refer to the book as like what other people do that I don't like because it feels really boring. And
Jim's a postmodernist, okay? he doesn't want to go by the fucking book. Tired of the book.
But if they didn't bring up the book here,
James T. Kirk.
then Wrath of
The guy
Khan
who's
couldn't
referred
have
to as
that
a
clever
stack of books
callback.
with legs doesn't like the book.
And then at the end, Pike is like, well, that's just how it goes. And it really isn't. It's
Sometimes you
not.
kill 7,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the magnitude of it just wasn't quite appreciated. Like,
the lighthearted approach that Pike had made my stomach turn, honestly.
But to answer your question, this was the first, I agree with Elisa. This is the first Kirk episode where I liked Kirk. I kind of was annoyed by him in all other episodes, mostly because I was like, why is this dude here? And then with the time travel one, I was like, really? A whole episode of this dude? But I really liked him in this episode. I liked the idea of him still being like that cocky, confident Kirk we think of, but also making a whole bunch of wrong calls. And being like, wow, I totally thought like I was the man. I thought I could do no wrong. I thought that the people above me were just idiots. And then you give me command like one time, and I'm second guessing everything. I can't make a decision. I think decisions are really hard and scary. And then it turns out people die. So I actually liked him in this episode, and I actually liked that he was very wrong about his own self-perception. And I guess it was ChatGPT level of guidance. That's fair. But I just like that. I like that about him, that he was not the Kirk we see before. Kind of like how they're doing with Uhura and how they're doing with Scotty. Like they're showing he thinks he's ready, but he's not ready. He's absolutely
he's not listening to his engineer. He's like, just, push the engines as hard as possible for as far as
that's
possible.
Literally what Pike did last episode, the episode before. So he's like, this should work. It worked for them. It does not work, And I think that's it. Is he's just like, yeah, I could just fly by the seat of my pants like all these other captains. And I think his message was, it may look like they're flying by the seat of their pants, but they've earned their confidence. They didn't literally make it up. Like they have a bunch of
pants are not so big.
I mean,
Exactly.
it is a look at what James T. He needed that moment to gain his confidence, but I mean, it's still what James T. Kirk would do. I mean, it's WWJRT Kirk, or is it R or K? Or...
But it would have worked if Kirk did it, right? It would have like somehow been okay. I don't know. I guess it was somehow okay because they all didn't die. So, but I liked Kirk's performance in this. Like I like Kirk's character in this episode more than all the other Kirk episodes. But as you all know, I do not have a depth of knowledge for TOS, so that's literally just based off Strange New Worlds. It's not like comparing to the other Kirk.
See, I thought of this kind of like a reverse There But for the Grace of God sort of situation from Decker in Doomsday Machine. If Kirk had made the wrong call here without his friends from TOS, he probably would have ended up flying the Farragut into the ship's mouth and killing himself. So I feel like he learned he needs to rely on other people. Now, as shoehorned as having the entire original crew there, as it was, like he needs these people in his life to really complement who he is as a captain, or at least to learn from them and to compartmentalize things a little bit better. The captain isn't responsible for making everything happen, even when he gives the orders to make everything happen.
Yeah, it was hard to miss the fact that he was doing what he was doing, surrounded almost entirely by TOS legacy characters.
So satisfying, honestly.
Well, she went back to the ship.
Yeah.
I know it's easy bait, but goddamn, I loved it.
Mm-hmm. No, it was fun. It was fan servicey as hell, but it was it was a fun moment.
This kind of reminded me of Tilly pivoting to a teacher after having someone die on her watch. Except this time, Kirk had 7,000 people die. Didn't make a smidgen of an attempt to make contact. I don't know. I just wouldn't walk away from that experience going, you know what? I'm definitely ready for command.
But at the
Yeah,
same time,
it's
he was
kind
like
of
busting
wild
down
that there
too.
was no attempt to like hail them or do any kind of like negotiations
Like,
at all.
All the comms were jammed.
Comms were jammed, but
Oh, that's right.
But
That's
there's
true.
like ways around that. They got around their own comm jamming with the telephone. They couldn't just plug it into that, umbilical crap or whatever. It's just really funny how they made absolutely no inroads. They were just like, we're just gonna period.
I
I
love
was
the
watching
ship
this.
now.
I did
I
too.
was
That
watching
was
this
a really
episode
cool
of Enterprise
design.
with my son, and he pointed out the lights on the back. I was like, "Yeah, every starship you see usually has running lights for
Oh,
some
they could
reason."
have done Morse
I was
code.
like, "Why can't they do something with that?"
That's a good point.
They could have done flares. They probably could have done anything, but yeah, I have no problem with the menacing mouth. I loved it.
Yeah,
I
that
loved
was
it being
awesome.
a giant, like, ship eater. That's what it was
It
supposed to
looks
be.
like
It
an
reminded-
anglerfish, kind of. Like it's a great design.
It reminded me of like a deep sea. What are those anglerfish that have the mouth that sort of drop open?
Yeah, that was one of our regular questions about why it looked like a face. And that does seem kind of weird for like what's just humans' first expedition into space and collecting whatever they can, like a pack-led clump ship. When my daughter and I, before the big reveal, we were watching it together, and I'm like, "Well, who do you think it is?" And she's like, "I think this is the pack-leds." I'm like, that's not impossible.
I thought it was too, and then they seemed so much more menacing, and I was like, "Nah, Packleads are kind of dumb." And then I thought maybe it was the scavenger ship from Lower Decks, the one that found Batten, because they collect things. And I was like, "Oh, it's the scavenger people who I don't quite remember." So then I went back to Lower Decks to like see what their ship looked like, and it was just a regular ship. So then I was like, "I don't know who these people are."
I think it's because they want to propagate this idea of a myth that they're a monster. It's a sentient sort of amalgam of ships or whatever. So it looks like this is intentional, not just like being menacing, but to appear as a creature.
I thought the design was incredible for whatever it's worth. I really had a great time just kind of going over it for a second.
So I'm not sure if anybody followed up on this to find out if it was real or somebody deep faking. Was there actually a TARDIS several times in this episode from Doctor Who?
What?
I didn't see a TARDIS, Scott.
I even did a rewatch, but I forgot to pay attention.
I should have gone back and looked, really, but that's on me that I didn't.
I didn't catch it on my rewatch, but it looks like if it was there, you'd have to like freeze frame it and kind of look in the background. So it's possible.
Yeah, there's some stills going around the internet that I'm not sure if somebody has just, photoshopped or if it's really, because it is like small and in the background it'd be like on the nacelles of the Enterprise in like a long shot, but it's maybe there.
It's
the Doctor would
good
never
enough
be
to
eaten.
trick Yahoo News.
The Doctor would never be eaten. He would have gotten out of that. He would have communicated with the people, and he would have convinced them to stop eating people.
The Doctor might have gotten a little eaten.
But he would have convinced them to stop or blown them up against his will if that was his last option. But he probably
would
would
have totally appealed to their humanity rather than explode them 100%.
That's sort of like what I was hoping for. Once we find out, I just found like the message was just sort of shoehorned in at the end.
Right.
Like I thought it might have been even more effective if they chose to humanize them and like actually contact them, or just make them faceless entirely and maintain the myth. Maybe there's another ship like that. I don't know.
Oh, that could be them, because in TNG there's still a myth about this ship. A clip of Worf talking about it was going around. I don't know if it's supposed to be connected to that or not.
Okay.
Where Worf's talking about the scavenger ship that's on the edges of space or whatever that the Klingons are still scared of. So, be interesting if there's another one out
I don't
there.
remember that.
But I think the only real difference here between like something that would happen in the original series and TNG early days is that they actually talked about the 7,000 people. If this was an
Right.
original series episode, they would have blown up the ship. Someone would have made a quip on the bridge and they'd laugh and go to the credits. So the same thing happened. They just would have never addressed the people.
Yeah, I mean, when you look back at like the giant space amoeba, that they did go out of their way to like try to understand what it was first. I mean, the planet killer. I mean, part of that was Commodore Wesley or Commodore what's his name?
Decker.
Decker, Commodore Decker, going crazy, but you know they didn't really try to reason with it. And it's the same thing here. I don't have a problem with the fact that they come upon the ship that just destroyed this free planet for no reason, disabled the Farragut, captured the Enterprise. Like, what are they supposed to think or like try to negotiate at that point? It's
Right.
that doesn't
That's
make
why,
sense.
like, I think writing them not to be so like aggressive, unprovoked it's a choice to make them just flatly evil. That's the weak writing, is like they're just doing things for no reason, and we're just reacting to it.
Hey,
Well, it's not
Look,
no reason. They were greedy, I think is what they were getting at.
Well,
they were just
the-
consumed
killing
by
the
their
ship,
need to.
yeah, but the planet
things.
destroying, I don't really get it.
Yeah,
Well,
that it does.
Well,
That does make sense.
they destroyed the planet on my
Didn't they
second
pull
watch. I
something
got
out of
this
its
to get
core?
the mineral.
Yeah,
that
they pulled the
powered their
minerals
ship.
out of the planet.
I can't
Yeah.
remember what it was
Okay.
called. Eldenium or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the same thing that the same thing that Scotty pretended to come from their ship to like lure the ship eater over to it.
Yeah. So instead of like mining dilithium, they just blow up the planet.
Right.
And
Right, but that's like a choice to make them that like
Yeah.
to not even try
Kinda
to just go
mindless,
down
yeah.
there and mine it, or like take dead ships, or instead of just scavenging ones that are crude. Like
you know
that's
what? It was a hard Thursday, okay? They got out of there early. You know, they left it at that. All right, you just need to calm down, okay?
They caught the
These
flagship
people
of the
work
Federation.
hard to make you entertainment, and they get paid far better than you. You need to calm down now.
Yeah, but they try to twist it at the end, like, oh, at the time, this was, these were the best people humanity had left to offer, the universe. And in the space of
Guess
however many
not.
generations, maybe one or two, they twisted the hell out of themselves.
It
Yeah,
is
I mean,
kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's just weird that like presumably they've been just roaming around the galaxy and
Pillaging.
they've just never settled anywhere, never decided to go see how Earth actually turned out. Like it's kind of weird. 'Cause, like
well,
they seem to have warp now, like they
Also,
can
like-
travel at high speeds. Like why haven't they gone back? Like there are just so many unanswered questions.
Yeah, the thing is also being a scavenger as a human being in the Federation doesn't even make sense. Like if they were like, "Hey, we need resources," you wouldn't have to blow up anything.
But in theory, they didn't know about the Federation.
Yeah, they left
This
before the
is
Federation.
pre-Federation.
Yeah, they
Right,
left
but
before the
now
Vulcans
they
formed.
exist
But they
in
were
the
high on the
Federation.
edges of it.
But they've already been turned into radical selfishness people
Yeah.
I
somehow.
guess.
But I
Yeah.
still agree. Like,
Radical.
I agree with Rin though, because they left Earth. They thought Earth was going to be destroyed. That was like the backstory, is they thought Earth will be no more. I mean, I guess the planet will exist, but all the people die. So that's why they went as far away as they could to the very edges of space, which is a thing in Star Trek. And they went super far, and then they just did what they needed to do to survive. And then they started scavenging and pillaging and destroying everybody else just so that they can, get their own resources. But we saw how massive that ship was, and we saw how fast that ship was. So
We saw
if
space.
the parents had told stories about why they left and had told stories about Earth and what they left behind, presumably there would be some descendants who would be curious, and they clearly have the technology to get there in no time flat. But at some point something was lost, which I think was the moral of the story, right? At some point these humans stopped acting like humans and started acting like birds, I guess. I don't know.
You might say it's been a long
Raccoons?
road getting from there to.
Yeah, they actually did come back once and they saw Archer and they're like, you know what?
Never mind.
They're straight to the heart one
We're-
time. They're
we're
like,
good.
We're fucking evil now.
I mean, I don't think it really matters how they got there. what I think the moral of the story is really like what Kirk has to deal with in the end, and then Pike's talking to him. It's about the othering of people, where it's like where we go so far as to, these are human beings, but they've been othered to the point where we can just slaughter 7,000 of them, and we don't really
Here
think about it.
afterwards.
But then Kirk does think about it, and I know Vanessa, you had brought up like this being kind of like, oh, they're kind of being like the Terran Empire, but at the same time, like Kirk wouldn't in the Terran universe wouldn't look upon his actions and be like, oh, I fucked up. So I mean, I can kind of see what you're getting at, but I don't see it to be a big deal because it tells finally a moral story. We haven't had a good moral of a story in Star Trek in a while.
The morals, it's like sort of pivot point is the fact that they're human. That is the thing that gives him the heebie-jeebies and the guilt. It's not that like
it's not the murder.
It's that they're human. That's where I'm coming from with the Terran Empire thing, because they're so human focused that it matters only because they're human beings. Like
Yeah,
if anybody else would he care?
I agree. They were just like, kill them all. Who cares? And then when they were like, they're humans, 7,000 humans. But if it was 7,000 Vulcans or something, they're like, eh. Like, it just seemed like, yeah, the murder wasn't the issue. The fact that they were humans was the issue. I thought was weird. But also, I think another moral of the story was about leadership, which I actually did like Pike's ChatGPT advice of saying, yeah, you think you can, you think you being in charge means you get to make all the decisions and you're the boss, which is true, but you also have to suffer with the consequences because you're the boss. So you also can't put that on anybody else. And that's the part you didn't see when you were not in the big chair. You just saw they're making decisions I wouldn't make, but you didn't see that they have to live with those decisions, good or bad. And now that's command too. Is this really something that you want to do?
I thought the board part way through about these people too.
I thought the space station people from Enterprise for a while too. The self-repairing space station that stole Travis.
Oh yeah.
To that question that Anton put up about what's the difference between these and Borg, there is a humanization of the Borg. Q, 7, those two, like, they try to reach into the humanity in the Borg to sort of deprogram them. There's like, clearly what they were getting at in Picard was sort of like de-assimilated people being in Starfleet, So that's one difference. Also, like, we don't know much more though, because they killed them all and destroyed their ship. So we saw like them in suits, but as to how much they were a part of that ship or not,
Yeah, we don't even know if they were technically alive, like sentient beings anymore.
Yeah, we have way more time with the Borg than we had with these people. So we had time to say, what else can we do in this storyline? We can't just keep having them be in this box. Like, what else can we do? So we got a chance to have Locutus and Hugh and Seven and Icheb and more and more and more. But with just one episode, and to Vanessa's point, since they all died, I assumed there was going to be multiple ships. Like, this was a species that had multiple ships. But in the end, when they were like, look, there's a little USA flag. And I was like, oh, maybe this is the one ship then. The ship just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the ship. So there may not be, and maybe they don't want to go down this line again anyways in stories, but this may be the ship. This may have been the story. We will not ever see these people or talk about them ever again.
Yeah. I guess like I would have bought him becoming captain and feeling good about it if he made contact with these people and like had them aboard and actually like pick their brain about who they are rather than just sort of shoving their identity in the end.
I want to hear about their dedication to the
chicken
flag.
with them, send the torpedoes into their thing and be like, I'm gonna detonate these, like find a way to communicate that and like talk them down from the ledge. I don't know. It definitely just went from 0 to like, we're gonna kill all of these guys like so fast.
Our run time's up.
The too much debris, we can't transport anybody excuse felt kind of like bullshit, but okay.
I mean,
just
it's
to like
like
justify
it's a
not
Trek
even having
trope.
one survivor, like that was
Yeah,
kind of
like it's a big ship. It's a big ship. Like they were like nothing survived from that. Yeah.
That would have
Yeah,
been an interesting conundrum if, like, there's 7,000 people out there and they say, well, we have enough power to save like 6. Pick your 6.
or
I
even
would
like,
pick whichever first
Nice.
6 the transporter locks onto, honestly.
or even like 100, right?
I would
100 out of
randomize
1,000.
that.
Like, that could have been a cool moral dilemma of, like, you know,
Who are
How
the
do I
lucky
put-
ones
yeah.
who are going to have the survivor skills?
Hey, you know what? I want to look at the positive elements of this. They died doing what they love, being weird, mutated human beings that are just evil for no fucking reason. And I'm happy for them. They died with dignity like a fucking Klingon.
Do what you love and you never.
I love
regret
that watching their little bodies like spinning out there. Like it was, they just had to show that. It was so egregious.
At least they didn't show eyeballs blowing out of someone's
No
face.
concern.
Okay.
Right.
No
Yeah,
blood.
that's something.
No
No
severed
casket for
limbs.
you.
This is fine by me. We didn't even see the
Alright.
corpse freeze. We didn't even see the close up
Yeah,
of the boy.
nice.
Like this is fine
Like,
with me.
I would rather watch, 14,000 more people frozen in space than more romantic comedy. this
oh,
season.
well, yeah.
Hell
Okay, be
yeah.
careful or Brooke will make that happen.
Correct.
Well, we did get to see a little blood when what's-her-name died. Crewman didn't get a name.
Ah, yes. Crewman Randall.
Oh yeah, crewman didn't get a name. I guess so. There was that trickle of blood. That was like that Tasha Yar style.
When
Violet-
Pike's like, we've got to save her. Oh, she died 10 minutes ago. We've just been dragging her
We've
around
just
for
been
nothing.
carrying this body around, and there's no way for the suit to let us know that we can put her down.
There we
No,
go.
if everything was working perfectly, we could have saved her. No. It's the same thing
never
on the
gets any
Farragut when it's just
easier.
like, well, we couldn't save anybody. You know, the ship's all banged up, and the transporter, even though earlier this season the Enterprise had its shields up and was in the middle of a radiation well
was
in
the
between
sun.
two stars
became a new
and grabbed
sun,
like
yeah.
200 people in like a second.
In mid transport.
Remember?
Detached in a
Nice,
cell.
Mr. Frodo.
Yes. So I know we have more
That was
questions,
cool.
but when
That
the
was very
sauce were
cool.
separated, my head almost exploded. When they were like, I think we're ready for it. I was like, is there going to be a sauce separation? Do it, do it, do it. And they were like, separate. I was like, ah! Yeah, that was.
I
It was
honestly
wild
thought they were
watching
gonna.
the cells separate from the saucer
Yeah.
instead of the saucer like separate from like a second drivable ship. It was cool.
I was so happy. I
I
feel like
came
we didn't
pretty
get it.
close in the lead up. I thought they were going to do a Shax and eject the warp core, but really close.
Oh man.
That was fun.
Scotty
would've
wouldn't have
been
liked that
satisfying,
either,
too.
so yeah.
I really enjoyed Una's solution. That was one of my favorite parts of the episode when she dropped the
thinking on
phone
her
and
feet.
ran to decompress that one chamber,
The
to
airlock.
thrust them out. That was really cool.
Mm.
I know.
That
Watching
was-
the air come
I
out and
did
it's like
see one person though who questions like, wait, you can just blow one airlock and it'll change the direction of the entire ship? Shouldn't you have to
it's a
do
big
Yeah.
airlock.
a few more?
Maybe it's a whole cargo.
I mean,
bay.
there's no gravity and like acting on the ship, right? So there's I think just should move it.
Just
Yeah.
physics. Yeah.
I buy that.
Una is a
I-
low-key power hitter for me. I really think she's underutilized. Great,
very much.
great actress playing the character. Yeah, please go ahead, Ren.
I liked basically everything about the manually piloting the Enterprise plot. I'm obsessed with Pelia's maximalist quarters. They are exactly, like Amenga says, exactly what you would expect. I like that. I think we saw the cat clock a second time because I think it was in the original episode where we like meet Pelia. But I might be imagining things. I didn't go back and watch it. I just feel like that was a little deep cut there.
I love that she had an Atari.
Yeah, I loved the joysticks. I loved the like landlines. It was so
I
good.
love-
Okay,
I love that she said this is the
Dustin.
first time that I'm happy that I didn't die in the 80s.
Dustin, I have to ask you:
Mhm.
wireless controllers for an Atari 2600. This is real. This is
Yeah.
This is a thing that happened. Wow.
Yeah, they were expensive. There weren't a lot of them produced,
They're
but they
accurate.
existed.
That's
I've seen that exact one before. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh wow, those are the wireless ones. They got them little dangly antennas and everything.
They have
Makes it look like you're
every-
gonna set off a bomb in the 80s or something.
They just
if you're,
have like
you know,
every nerd on
Hollywood
speed dial. You know, some nerds like, oh yes, I absolutely have this.
Don't
Like-
break
no,
it.
no, no, no. You have to say it like, I absolutely have this.
And then push your glasses up. But the thing with loaning stuff to Hollywood is they're quick to break stuff. So if I was one of these nerds, I would want some kind of guarantees,
Yeah.
like, or go to the prop
Mhm,
department and make a fake
mhm.
one. Do not break my thing, my actual thing that I have kept all these years. Like, just make a fake one for the show.
I love that
Do we-
she basically has like one of those boxes with wires in it, because who the hell doesn't have one of
Yeah,
those
I
lying
have
around?
I have several.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
relatable to me, you know.
Very Radio Shack coded.
Because if you
I
throw
love
it away, the next week you're going to need that composite to VGA to HDMI to DVI adapter.
And you'll
I
wish
will
you had
get
How
it.
will I
done.
split my screens?
Oh, one of those. Where is it? Over there somewhere.
Do we think Pelia's pack rat tendencies will save the day again in the future?
It'll give her
I
something
think
to do.
So,
They'll
Yeah.
save the day, but she'll die probably.
After 5,000 years, how sad.
Well, she got a story this time, so clearly she's not long for this world.
you're not wrong. If the trend continues, it's all over for Belia.
I liked Pelly in this episode. This is the second Pelly
Yes.
episode I enjoyed. The
What's
first
the
one was
first
the
one?
time travel with Kirk
Okay.
that I was like,
Series-
Kirk, whatever. But I like Pelia. And this
Mhm.
one, it was like
finale.
Pelia.
Series
love it.
finale has her eyeballs explode.
Oh gosh. Don't even think Vanessa.
Oh god.
And then she gets shot
I
out of
had enough
airlock
eyeballs
and
when
her
it
body
burned out.
freezes in space and then shatter
You know
against
what?
the hole.
Little known fact
Okay.
about lanthanites: we can explode.
Oh, what if she regenerated? That'd be so dope.
Oh god, we just turn it
Okay,
in.
if we're going to give Pelia a video game obsession, let's just full on go out with it. You know, give her a fucking GameCube. Like, let's see her like pull out N64 or something. I
She got,
want
like,
to
a
make this a
Dreamcast.
You
character.
gotta work the
Like a
ColecoVision.
Dreamcast.
Yes, boy, get it,
Ooh.
Coleco. I love you, Scott. Don't you ever forget.
Or she has the one prototype Sony Nintendo before they
That'd be
parted ways.
She fucking
Oh,
stole it when
do
she was
that.
working for him in the early
Yeah.
90s.
She got a Jaguar CD. It's crazy up
Oh,
in there.
boy.
I developed this for a stupid idiot at ChronoWorks, but he didn't believe me.
She has the one game for it.
Oh, that would be so fun if she referenced the stuff from Voyager. Like, did it still happen like
Yeah.
that? That's always the question. Like, did Henry Starling still like start the computer revolution?
Oh.
Anyway, which is more formidable, the Doomsday Machine from TOS or the ship from this episode?
Well, this is the only one we saw actually eat up ship, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because they tried to fly his ship down the other one's thrown and just blew it up.
Mhm.
It was like more proactive in its ship eating, if you will.
I can respect that.
I mean, they both got destroyed, but yeah, well, probably the planet killer, but
It seems
we didn't
more
actually
dangerous,
see it
but-
destroy a planet like we did in this one.
Right.
I'm just like so baffled because it can destroy a planet. It's that powerful, but it takes 2 missiles to blow up this thing.
3 missiles.
3.
Agree.
Difference. Maybe they hit the warp core version of, maybe they hit the fuel line.
Right. It's
I-
very Star Wars, that Death Star shot,
Yeah, ran
Well,
up the
if
exhaust port.
they survive, they would design their next ship better.
Ooh, season 4.
Well, I mean, the giant opening was way bigger than 2 meters wide here, so that's
That
that's
helps.
It was a lot
I actually
of
didn't
warp
think that was
up.
going to work because all of their weapons on the outside did nothing.
yeah, right.
So when they shot the little torpedoes on the inside, they were like, phaser, Spock's like, phaser fire won't work, Captain. And he's like, I know what will. Torpedoes. I just was kind of like, aren't those photon torpedoes, phaser fire, aren't those kind of tomato
Yeah.
in Star Trek?
Yeah.
No,
But they were like, no, but it's on the inside. It's like the soft part of the ship. So I didn't think they were
Yeah.
going to work. I thought they were going to also just kind of like be absorbed or maybe like break an antenna off or something really like not harmful at all. And then I was like, oh, they're going to be
Yeah.
eaten.
It's
Like,
just
how are they
hard
gonna
to
escape?
believe that they survived for that long with surrounded by warp capable ships with torpedoes, and that's the first time that's happened.
Or even a
Right.
self-destruct.
They could've just
Yeah,
targeted
I
one
was
of
gonna
those.
say I was surprised that like the Klingons in particular didn't just explode their ship. The fact that they found like visible Klingons in there, like
yeah, they never surrender.
yeah,
I
They
guess
never give
like
up.
both of them are terrifying in their own way. Like the Planet Eater is sort of like this, it's coming, whether you get out of the way or not, it's coming.
It sure is, Vanessa.
Whereas it's sort of like an asteroid or a comet where it's like it's too big to do anything about it, and if you're in the way, oh well. Whereas with this, it's like it's warp capable. It presumably has weapons, so there's like pluses and minuses for both.
Why don't we get like a weird like religion inside of this thing too? We could illustrate how the founders brought us onto the great ship and all this stuff. It would probably be like terrible and junky, but at least it would be something more than just making them so vague.
Honestly, I love this episode. I don't care. I love the episode. I like them being mysterious.
Okay.
I didn't super love the fact. I didn't love the fact that the reason Kirk was upset was because he killed humans, and he presumably would not have been upset had he killed anyone else. I thought he should be upset about killing people, just as a general rule of like I killed a bunch of people. But other than that, I love this episode. The vagueness and mystery was fine for me. The cool spacesuits felt very Fifth Element to me, like those big kind of boxy robots, and so that touched my heart in the happy place. So I'm fine. I love this episode. I'm fine. I didn't even have much of the romantic stuff to complain about. Like, I feel like we got a good story this time. It was a good storyline. It was simple. It was clear. I like the moral ethical issues. So really, I can't pick this one to pieces like I've done every single.
This was definitely one of the best of the season. It's really good.
As much as I want to know more about these people, also I don't know where you would pack in the backstory. There just isn't enough time. What I would like to see is like a 5-part comic book or something about them where, you get like 50 years of comic book and you'll learn about them and it would actually like, you could learn all those little things that you keep asking Robbie, like, is there a religion? Is there all these other little things that you just wouldn't have had enough time to explore in this episode and have it still have all of the meat and potatoes that it does?
And then it would make it more sad when they all died because you'd have all the backstory. And you'd be like, that was little Tim Tim on the ship who ate it in the end.
Like you could have started this with them just taking off from Earth and as the audience be like, what? Cut to cut to the opening credits, and then we actually go on to the farragut, and then you're like, well, what was that about? And then that kind of tips you off. So it's is it better to let them pay off to just be humans in the end when you're like, oh, it's humans, or to like learn their whole backstory, which also I don't think we would have had enough time to do justice.
The only time they could have put it in is and still retain what they did is at the end if they had like history logs or something that they were able to play.
Like there was just like a perfectly timed cut right after Uhura says, I wonder why they decided to do this, and then it just goes bang. It could have been a line. They could have said anything. They didn't have to necessarily spend the entire episode focusing on them necessarily. Like I don't really see why with like a few story beats rearranged that couldn't happen. But like instead they could have just said like, be in a post-scarcity society to be this uniformly evil doesn't make any sense. So to just sort of leave it as a blank is just blood bananas to me.
Do you remember that episode of Futurama? Hey, Del, do you know that episode of Futurama with Fry's dog? And then he's like trying to recover the dog. And then he's all the montage they do of the dog could have been a fun montage backstory for these people, like after the credits or something, where it's like the show's over, we got the moral story, and then it's just like this little Easter egg or something where it's just this montage, because that montage of the dog was like 90 seconds or something. But it told you everything. It told you everything that happened.
And there was not a dry eye in the house afterwards.
I know I wasn't. I know I was boohoo crying at the end of that episode.
They could bring pathos to these like nothing creatures who are supposed to be human beings with just 90 seconds of a montage like that if they were smart about it.
Like the most human person I think in this episode to me is Scotty, because he looks like he's being driven nuts by nobody listening to him.
God.
I really like Scotty in this episode. I do feel like he was a little mouthy because he didn't really respect Kirk, but I also feel like Kirk didn't really earn the respect. So it was interesting because he was just like, "What are you talking about? This is stupid." And I feel like he never would have said that to Pelia or Pike. He would just be like, "Yes, sir," or that sounds really hard to do, sir.
They also wouldn't have, well, you know, when he says, "Hey, this will burn out the engines and we will be stuck," they wouldn't go, "You know what? Do it anyway." They wouldn't do that.
Pike might,
depending
on the day.
Said, "Sir, if we do that and become a star, we could die." And he says, "Just turn it off before we blow up." And Kirk said the exact same thing. He said, "Just stop it before it blows up." And
even Kirk and TOS would have done this too. I mean, it doesn't matter his years of experience. This is just Kirk. I mean, he's going to take that 1 in a million chance, and because he knows he's like destined for something better, and like he's going to die alone, even though he isn't.
I guess the thing about, like, I guess this is young Kirk, so it's fine, but typically Kirk is a bit more measured. He's going to weigh his options a little bit before taking the dumbest option first, you know?
Really?
Kirk
he always
like,
takes
let's
the
just
dumbest
do the
option,
dumb
though.
thing and hope it works out.
Well, he literally said, "I don't want options." Right? They were like, "Sir, we want to tell you, I don't want options."
Well, then when he
I
has
just
two
need to
options,
clear
he's
my
like,
head.
"I choose neither."
Give me more options, actually.
But also, you know, when we see him in TOS, you know, when he's weighing options, it's kind of like as part of the big three. You know, he's got Spock with him, he's got Bones with him, he's got this crew that he's been with forever and trusts.
Yeah, no one was racist.
Like being thrown together for the first time.
He could only make decisions if two people really hate each other right in front of him. And then he's like, "Oh, okay."
I mean, that's how I live my life, frankly, and it's been working out for me. No complaints.
I can't get my mind going until I hear my friend call my other friend a pointy-eared hobgoblin.
Yes.
It gets the gears grinding.
Which brings us to the ever important question: how long until La'an catches Spock snuggling Kirk?
Oh, man.
Not long
Only
now.
a matter of time now.
Ooh, the next episode's the documentary. Maybe it's filmed like The Office, and they have secret shots of them hooking up in like the storage closets, and she sees it on that. Like, oh my god!
Better romance than whatever the hell's happened in the last few episodes. Ooh boy, give me that. That'll just make me completely bisexual if it happens.
They do the thing, like, even though there's obviously different kinds of love, the fact that they instantly bring out the best in each other under pressure, that's, you know, sowing the seeds.
Someone's sowing seeds this season.
Yes.
We've had enough seed sowing.
With Spock.
There was that little moment when La'an, before she transported back to the Enterprise, where she and Kirk looked at each other because of their history of her falling in love with Mirror Kirk, and this Kirk just happening to know about that because she told him, but actually having no feelings for her whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sort of like, don't make this a thing too. We already got the whole chapel. Like, don't make this a thing. I don't want to.
They just made it a
We
look.
did get Kirk or
James
Spock staring
La'an.
long after
Like
her
the last
little
time
being
La'an's
disappeared
like,
as well.
"Hey, I like you," and then he goes, "I'm having a
girlfriend's pregnant."
baby."
I'm having a baby.
So it's
He
a
goes-
little awkward. So
He
yeah,
goes,
I'm
exactly. Like, he's like, "Well, that's very sweet, and I did feel there was a connection between us. I would call it lust. You might call it love, but anyways, I did feel a connection. However, I'm seeing someone right now, and that someone's pregnant. So can we maybe like rain check it?" So that was like their last conversation, but I just didn't want it to be a thing. I noticed it was a look, and I just hope we leave it at the look, and we don't have a whole episode of awkward conversations over drinks
my
or
God.
something.
Oh my
Damn
god.
Shereese.
Oh,
Spock
yeah.
and Kirk
Oh,
fighting
that's
with
gonna
La'an,
happen.
I would
Like a-
redact myself.
like Chapel is like going into a dark room, and then she finds herself in bed with
Kirk.
with Kirk, and then La'an is in the dark, and she's with Chapel's
Warby?
boyfriend. I see it.
Is that a
What a
Revenge of the
twist.
Nerds reference?
It's Freaky Friday, right? But the two of them switch.
No, wait, Freakier Friday. That's what it is. Sorry. Disney paid me to do that, everybody. Sorry.
Sounds pretty far-fetched to me.
Nice.
Hope you weren't up all night on that one, Josh.
Eh,
Only like every 7 years.
Got bed about
So speaking-
2:30, huh?
Of La'an, there's that moment where they're trying to disconnect the umbilical. Does Pike actually order La'an to do the hard job disconnecting the umbilical because it's more dangerous and he can't die yet?
Oh, that's
He
interesting.
seemed
I thought it was
scared.
just
He was like,
sucks.
no, you're gonna do that. You can do that. Captain's prerogative.
Seems like he should have done that knowing that he would survive somehow.
That's a good point. He could be kind of like, unbreakable.
Yeah.
It seemed like wherever she had to go, it was like the waste management system. It just seemed to me like he didn't want to get his hands dirty. Like
Literally.
yeah.
Well, he does have to cook later, so.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, wash
And he's already got
hands
blood on
after
his
the
hands.
dick tickling.
It's nerve pinching, okay?
Speaking of cooking, I see that we're finally
you
going to get back to
nerve.
Pike's Kitchen next week.
Mm-mm.
Yay.
Cooking up some
The only
gourd.
good thing about Anson.
Oh, they gotta have some good cooking shots for the documentary.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
like I'm actually looking forward to it. Like some of the best random scenes in Strange New Worlds have been in Pike's quarters with him making food. And we haven't had that. We're coming up on episode 7, and he hasn't cooked a meal yet. There's something wrong here. There's something
Didn't he cook
very
in the
wrong.
premiere for Marie?
He did
at one
something for
point?
the bachelor party.
He's
Oh, yeah,
cooking
yeah.
for 6
Oh, he did. I
because
mean, that's kind of alternate, but yeah.
Bartell
you're
is pregnant with Gorn, so there's cooking for at least 2. or
Oh my god.
or more.
But okay. Never
Oh,
mind.
there we go.
I'm not even going to talk about Patel. We're just going to save that till I have to.
Let's not bring that up at all. Let's just
I
leave
see
that
her
for
in the
whatever.
screenshots for next week, so she plays some role in the next episode.
Yeah, this episode is clearly for TOS characters only.
Mhm. And random woman who's on the bridge of the Farragut for 2 scenes.
Now, we have this question, why does modern Trek have so many planet-destroying dangers? And I almost think that the fairer question is, why did the middle of the release schedule over 60 years of Trek not have as many planet-destroying dangers? Because, I mean, TOS, you had the planet, literally the planet killer, the giant space amoeba that could eat entire star systems at a time. I feel like there are more, but
There's Nomad.
we didn't
With, like,
didn't
wiped out
really,
galaxies.
yeah,
Well, in
Nomad, but then we
TNG,
didn't
you
have
have
much
the
in
crystalline
TNG.
entity.
TNG mostly, though, had viruses and plagues. Like, that was a big, big thing. Sometimes we saw the plagues. Often we didn't. And the Enterprise was on its way to a plague when something on the ship. Something with the captain. Something Beverly's in a warp bubble.
And
So it was
Voyager
more
was
like-
just a bunch of nebulas.
But the plagues were almost always like planet-wide plagues. And sometimes they were space station-wide plagues. On rare occasion, they were ship-wide plagues. But then those times they'd be like contagious to all the other ships or whatever. So there was a lot of that. But yeah, there wasn't very much. Like, I don't remember anything that was something like this, like something that's going around blowing up planets.
The crystalline
Yeah.
entity is the
But it didn't
something.
blow it
But
up.
even
Yeah.
that didn't
No,
blow
but
the
he
whole
did
planet
like
up. It just ate
consume all
everything
life on
on
the
it.
planet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there
it
were
caused the same
big
difference.
cosmic level things like Nagilum or something, but they weren't like moving around. They were
Yeah.
stationary that you encountered.
Now the best they had was like the Romulans trying to destabilize stuff, and that never worked out.
But yeah, I mean, recently you've had the 10C that were eating entire systems with their black hole eating thing.
Like, the thing about TOS is like a lot of their existential level crisis stuff had to do with anxieties around Cold War, the threat of nuclear annihilation and that kind of thing, mutually assured destruction and all that. So I wonder what this is meant to be. Like, what kind of anxiety is this speaking to?
A
Right,
population
TNG was a lot-
bent
I agree
on
with
selfishness.
Yeah,
I mean, I
TNG
suppose the
Oh, hi,
anxiety that
Dell.
greed and consumerism will destroy us all, because it will.
That is true, Norman. The Golden Age did have a war with the Cardassians that we never saw.
It was during the
TNG was a
Lost
lot
era,
about
but
like
yeah.
environmental stuff, because that was a lot of stuff going on then, was like global warming and recycling and, the warp trail is destroying planets. Yeah, I think I don't know what this is referring to, but I would agree with Ren, probably just more like consumerism and just more general things, not so much current events that are plaguing the planet as far as, this is all Cold War. This is all, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's like a thing like that. It's more just like things we want to talk about. Well, actually, I won't even say that. This episode felt more like a moral of the story and maybe like the value of human life or something, which I appreciate. I can't speak to all previous episodes this season though, because they weren't really about anything.
Good.
So speaking
They were
of
just
the
kind
measure
of whatever.
human life, would Kirk just go about his day if the helmet concealed a random alien race?
That's what it seemed like to me.
Probably.
Depends on the aliens. Cations, he'd probably be sad for.
I feel like he would feel sad for like Vulcans or like any other super familiar alien that he like knows. But I feel like, I mean, I bet even Klingons he wouldn't feel that bad about. Like,
Klingons, he'd be like, I knew it. Klingon bastards.
yeah, but any like random unknown alien, yeah, I don't think Kirk would care. Or at least that's not the vibe he was giving us. Like,
Yeah.
there
I
was
thought
a
it was
little bit
interesting
after
that they
the
showed the
episode.
American flag too. Sorry, Scott.
Got to drive that point home, yeah. Oh no, that's fine. I was just pointing out that we just keep coming back to this. So essentially, we are eating our own tail.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's something there. And to follow up on that and add in, you just mentioned the American flag. Would Kirk's reaction be any different if it wasn't an American flag he saw after the explosion? What if it was the
Probably
Uzbekistan flag?
Yeah.
I
No, I
well, I
think that was
don't
more
think
for
I
us.
recognize it.
Fair.
True. But I feel like that was more for us as the viewers. I think the fact that they were human was for him.
Did
Why
anyone
they had to
count
have
the
an American
stars on the
flag?
flag, by the way? I
There
just
were
thought to
15.
do that now.
No, that's a good point, though, because we know 52 stars means 2233 or later.
There were
I
50. I
just
counted them at
watched
one
the
point.
Rio Royale the other day.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when they found that shuttle debris or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just kind of drives the point home of sort of like not just like typically Star Trek has been sort of American centric throughout its run, but the fact that they put such emphasis on the fact that they're human and then we as the viewer are told that they're American, it just the messaging gets to be like these were people that were worth saving and we didn't. And
Well, they're not necessarily what Pelia tells you is that the groups that were left went scavenging from the countries that were left. And so in other words, all kinds of people from around the world scavenged like the ruins of US technology. We had the tech, but the people on it are from everywhere.
You know
I
what,
just don't think
Vanessa?
that the flag was necessary to the story, in my opinion,
Agreed.
because it was
I
like
mean, I think it was just for us to get the "le gasp, they're humans from Earth" moment.
guess they
Because
could've
otherwise,
put,
you're
like,
like, oh, are they some random humans from some colony? Like, where are these people from? So I think that's like the only reason they added the American flag, and of course, because it's mostly an American audience watching, presumably. So they're like, okay, shorthand for the audience to go, oh, this is us.
Like, can you imagine the outrage if they put a Chinese flag on it? Like, what all the videos that'd be coming out this week?
which is
Star
why I
Trek
don't think
would
the
now
flag
be
was
banned
necessary.
in China.
It would be probably. Yeah, which is why I'm just like, I don't. The fact that they were human from Earth and we had the whole backstory of the best of the people, like I feel like that was enough.
They could have said like they could have like had Mabenga say, "Yeah, we did an autopsy and they're human." You know.
well, I
If
don't
it had
think
been
you
a
have to
North
do an
Korean
autopsy to
flag,
tell they're
Star
human,
Trek
though.
would now be mandatory on state television.
Oh,
cool. One person can
they did
watch
the
it.
thing they did. You know how else they could have signified it was from Earth? Have a NASA signal.
Oh yeah, or like
Mhm.
a USS on
Yeah.
it or something.
Mhm.
Like,
I mean, there's a couple of nerdy Star Trek things they could have had on there, like the Jackson Roy Kirk or something, like deep cut.
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
They could have also made a Cubbies flag. You know, I would have been up for that. Those are relatable people and people who are into the Cubbies.
picture of Buck Bokai, thumbs up.
Ah, baby, yeah.
Yes.
So, in the last 5 minutes, two
wait.
of our last questions are: what do you think caused this generational ship to be hostile, and why didn't they settle down somewhere?
I just want to address what's in the thing below that references Firefly, because these guys to me felt very, very similar to the Reavers from Firefly, which are these people who live on the edge of space and have basically been driven mad by things beyond their control. Don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen Serenity, but it's really like it's quite similar where it's like, you know, they were people once, and in Firefly you get the backstory. Here you don't, but I feel like you can kind of fill in the gaps a little bit in terms of assuming they probably were met with a lot of hostility by more technologically capable races and somehow like scraped along, barely surviving for long enough to become like hostile to anyone they meet. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like the evil captain in Voyager, right? Where they basically completely gave up on their values and prioritized survival and nothing else.
Ah, good point.
Very true.
I
That's
vote
kind
for
of
that.
what I
Point.
assumed, is that they were
Very
just
good point.
they started off with one bad step, and every time they took like one forward momentum towards the wrong path, it's easier to keep going, and now they're just some weird
Right, like
amalgamated
they've
something.
stacked the sin
Yeah.
count is too high to back out.
More justification, more it has to be worth it, or we did all that for nothing.
Mhm.
And maybe they were like,
Fallacy.
negotiating takes too long. Let's just take what we want. And they were like, yeah, we don't have all this time to be talking. We need these things. What were you going to say, Scott?
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say it's very in the pale moonlight, except Cisco knew when to stop.
Did he?
I mean,
Well,
you
he's
can
now
live
like an
with it.
evil emissary.
We don't know that. Academy's still coming.
Yeah,
might
I
have
can't
missed
wait
it.
to see what that means, if anything.
Yeah, I guess like I'm willing to sort of go with a sort of indoctrination that this is the only way to survive, and for whatever reason, just completely not just jamming comms, but like completely cutting off contact with anybody that isn't on the ship, and just taking what they need and just insulating themselves from any sort of like, you know, not only people but consequences of their actions, or like internalizing them. Maybe that's kind of wrong. Like that's the only narrative that seems to make sense, because otherwise it's like they're in a post-scarcity society. There's no need for any of that, anything.
I have a better idea. I think one guy turned evil, killed all the old fuckers, made everybody feral, and you know, they just became evil, and they just enjoy being evil. You know, that's the only explanation that makes sense to me, frankly.
Okay, Colonel Green.
You know, I thought about him today. I was like, so if we need to know the backstory of these guys, like, I want to know the backstory of Colonel Green. And that's like a whole can of worms in and of itself that would probably take like a mini comic book series or something to tell, or at least a few episodes. And
I wonder if
it's,
they've
So we
done-
found a
they
can
must
of
have done
worms, and it just went from there.
sometimes all you have to do is find a box with the word Pandora on it. That is your destiny. Kind of the
Amen.
last. We had one question, which is, I feel like this is more about Anson Mount than Pike. Why is Pike so comfortable with killing human beings? I don't think he is. Like, he, as a character, was very
Honestly, when he's
concerned
like,
about
empathy
everybody.
doesn't, you know, doesn't have any conditions, I was just like, oh, doesn't it? Hey, Anson, maybe take your character's advice a little bit.
Yeah,
perhaps.
there's been a couple of things this season. It's been like, wow, well, it's if this was anybody but Anson Mount, I wouldn't have trouble taking this seriously.
Yes.
But as the character of Pike, I don't really see it. So then our last question, and we actually got through these all, and I don't know how. How was the
Wow.
Farragut so damaged that it wasn't worth stealing if it still was able to go to warp?
Scotty.
Well, it wasn't until Scotty
That
made it.
is plot convenience.
But still, there was nothing they could take from it at all. I mean, the whole point is that they're allegedly stripping these ships for parts and stealing all their stuff, right? So I don't understand why they wouldn't just snatch up a damaged ship that happens to just fall into their hands like that. It's kind of okay.
I think what they tried to play it off as is they have the Enterprise, which is in much better shape. So it's like they've got two ships, one that's like about to blow up and one that's like fresh and clean. So they were just like, let's just extend one little arm and keep it moving instead of two little arms. But yeah, it could have taken it. But it was so cool to see this ship all beat up and still trying to like truck along and catch up. Whatever they needed to do to make that happen, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, valid.
That is pretty classic Trek of Kirk and the gang being stuck in a beat up ship and still saving the day.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
fun.
it's very Planet Killer vibes.
And
yeah.
the Enterprise was the only ship in range.
Ragtag.
That's
fruit
one that
whales
bothered me
and
at the
butterflies.
beginning. One of the few things this episode that bothered me, where I'm like, oh, well, we didn't know if we got our message off. And then by the time we've gotten just from there to out of the opening credits, the Enterprise has just shown up. It's just warping in. Like, oh, okay. That's convenient. They were close enough and they got your transmission that's being blocked. Okay, whatever. Also, whatever. I don't know how we end up doing this. There are weeks where I think we're gonna maybe cover half an hour worth of
Like last
talking
week?
points, like last week, and then we go for like an hour and a half. And then there are weeks that I'm like, okay, we've got like 20 questions. We're not gonna get through them all, and we did. And here's
There's
our
less
hour.
to
So
talk about with a
let's.
good episode. I
This
feel
is
like.
exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say this is the secret that you're missing is that if the episode
Mhm.
sucks, we have so much more to complain about for all of the reasons it sucks.
We
But
love
when it-
bitching. We do.
Luckily, this is a
Contribute to that. But when
this
the
is a
episode
good
That's why
episode with
you,
problems.
the viewers, show up for some of that
Or like
sweet
Scott said,
buffer
you're
time
often like
bitching.
that.
Yeah.
yeah,
So let's do our out of tens. I really don't think it has problems. I think there are some small things that could be better, but honestly, I feel like this is the best non-gimmicky episode of Strange New Worlds. You know, like I think those old scientists are better, but it's a gimmicky, fun episode. As far as a standalone thing, and then also being a TOS origin story episode is great. It tells a moral story, which we haven't done for a while in Star Trek, even though that's kind of Star Trek's bread and butter. We told a self-contained story for the most part, where we didn't need elements from before or after the episode. I mean, after it would, like we've said, I think it'd be really nice to learn more about this ship at the fringes of the known galaxy that's raiding everybody. And I think like a comic book series or like, you know, something like that would be good. I am going to give this an 8.7. I like this an awful lot. Go ahead, Shereese.
yeah, I loved this episode. It was so good. For all the things Dustin said, I have nothing to add other than what I've already said, that this was a good story. This is what I've been complaining / begging for the last several weeks. So thank you, Paramount Plus, for hearing my begging and complaining, because I feel like this was a good story. This is what I wanted. And it's kind of like that episode, the episode last week that felt like 3 different stories that were like cobbled together and then tied with a shoestring. And then we just have like a glitching screen in the end and it's supposed to be like ominous. And I don't know what to focus on. This was the opposite of that. This was just like a contained story. I don't even think there was a B plot, unless we count B plot as this other ship trying to also escape at the same time. And it just was very cohesive. Nice, smooth, easy story. I kind of want to give it full marks just because this is the episode I've enjoyed the most so far. But in my heart, I feel like this is still an 8. But super good episode. So happy with it. More like this, please.
I'm in total agreement, actually. It is a little off-putting that the best episode so far of this season of Strange New Worlds almost entirely centers around characters from TOS, but they made it work with a brilliant, self-contained plot and story that chugs right along. It raises a few questions that, raise eyebrows, but it kept the romantic stuff to a very, very bare minimum, even while kind of introducing kind of new stuff on that front. And, I like the plot even as derivative as it kind of is of the Doomsday Machine. I'm going to go just a little bit higher than you guys, and, I'm going to give this one a 9.
I
Nice.
was also really impressed with this episode. I know I complained a decent amount in this conversation, but that's just because I like to nitpick. And I don't know, I was engaged like the whole time. I would say this is probably the one I was the most engaged with this season, where I didn't have to like, center myself and like kind of be like, okay, you need to pay attention because you want to talk about this. Um and yeah, I think it did so many things so well. Like the designs were so cool for the ship and the spacesuits, and like the reveal was a gut punch. Like my gob was smacked, Uh all in all, like it was really solid, and I liked the morality. I liked the lesson at the end of the episode. There were definitely a few things I think that could have like really like elevated it to like a nearly perfect episode of Trek, but like honestly, it still comes pretty close. I'm also going to give it a 9.
Vanessa?
Oh, me? Me? Okay. Okay. I thought Rob might go first, but okay. So yeah, definitely best of the season. I like the collaborative problem solving. Even though the phone thing didn't ultimately lead to anything, solution wise, it was fun. I liked Una's sort of, running to decompress that one chamber. That was really cool. Like I liked it up until the very like the last fourth of it, where we find out that they're human beings, and just sort of reflecting back on on the episode and them not making any sort of attempt at contact, and like to avoid this could have been avoided, even if like it was futile. There was a possibility there that they never explored, and we never get an answer about who they are. So it's like it was edging into the best season of the season for sure, but like that part where it's sort of like a human centric perspective, where it's like if since it's people, we feel bad thing. So I give it a 7.
So let's see. This one, I've always had to qualify so far this season with, well, this is my favorite of the season, but it is the weakest season. This episode, I think, can actually stand up there with some of the Strange New Worlds we've had before, maybe even top a lot of it. And to Shereese's point, yeah, I was thinking of this as well. The A plot and the B plot just meshed together so well. But I mean, they were basically the same plot. We were just following two different groups of people doing two sorts of things to solve the problem, working together, using their skills, being an actual crew that's like good at their jobs and has a reason for being in Starfleet. Aside from Kirk needing to learn his lesson, obviously, everyone was kind of up to snuff and able to carry their own weight and contribute. To Ren's point, I like to nitpick as well. So one nitpick we haven't talked about yet is the fact that the Farragut beamed over all their critically injured patients and didn't have a doctor yet. Mbenga spent his entire time running around wiring up the ship for the phone. So I guess he's not the doctor on the Enterprise. There must be someone else doing all that work.
But that's not news.
No. It's like they're just confirming it now. He's just nobody, I guess. Not that it's
He's
a
the
nitpick.
muscle.
He's the whatever guy. He needs to kill someone, need to wire up some phones, need to assassinate an army, whatever. He's on
Need
it.
to remark on Pelia's magnificent quarters.
He's
Like
your
he's
man.
your guy.
I liked him, and I liked him in here. It just popped into my head, like, who's doing the brain surgery on the Vulcan captain right now?
That craniotomy or whatever that
Yeah.
Chapel's not qualified to perform, and presumably neither's Mbenga. So the ship is doing it, I guess.
Or there's coming in. Bones has been there the whole time. He's just never been on screen. I don't know. I liked having a moral lesson. Again, it feels like it's been missing. And going back to all the plots meshing, yes, last episode I enjoyed a lot, but they were 3 disparate plots that were just kind of poked together. The same with the zombie episode, 2 different plots that they're just like, we have some ideas, let's do them. So this, aside from wanting to know more about the humans and feeling a little bit let down with the morality story, felt a little wonky with the humanist sort of stuff going on there. But again, it was there. If you watch it a second time, I actually found that it hit a little better because you saw that Kirk was actually questioning it. And it was a little bit ironic to me that Pike was literally doing the opposite earlier on when he was arguing to April that the Gorn are literally monsters and don't deserve any respect or appreciation. But maybe he learned his lesson. I don't know. I can't give this like full marks, and I'm curious to see where we go in the rest of the season, if anything's going to top this, but I'll probably give it about a 9 as well.
Okay. Final deciding factor for the entire group. The words I say are yours. All right. Okay. So, this is fun. I had a good time. You know, this is about the only episode of the season where I was just really kind of digging in and enjoying myself. But I do think there are big red flags just hanging around the script. I do think there are kind of easy explanations thrown away. I really need more of this camaraderie with everyone. We need to get our heads out of horror and romance. We need to get our heads back into teamwork and focusing on everyone's assets to the fullest extent. And I had an excellent time. I mean, I love hearing Jim say to Sky for the first time that he needs him to work miracles. That does my heart good. You know, that took a couple of years off the ticker. You understand? But also, I feel like maybe we're doing things in a convoluted way just to teach Jim a lesson, and that's a little bit of a hollow moral end for this, and it puts and the overtone that Americans died on this ship. God, I should feel real and insanely bad about that. I mean, those were human beings. Like I don't know. I think it feels like weirdly patriotic on a certain level, especially in this day and age. I understand the shorthand they may have wanted to use it for it, but yeah, I think Vanessa is completely right about the overtones of that stuff. So I'm just going to leave it at a 7, hoping for more Jim and Spock bromance as we go on. If we're going to turn this into a full-on, like, TOS beginnings type thing, then let's keep the chemistry the way it is now. I can't remember the actor who was playing Kirk, but he is so
Paul
excellent
Wesley.
at threading the what?
Paul Wesley.
Paul Wesley. He is an excellent actor and does an incredible job of threading like the inherent goofiness of his Jim Carrey like features with a person who is inexperienced but wants to captain. In fact, his performance is so compelling it lifts the episode up a little bit. So I just gotta give it a flat 7. I can't do any more for it on a story level, but everything else about it is pretty damn decent.
That's about the highest ranking we've had of the season, easily. I agree with you. My wife had posted a comment in here earlier today that's basically the same thing as you said, Robbie, that like we've always called Paul Wesley the unfunny Jim Carrey version of Kirk.
Yeah.
And I
But
don't know
he's
if
pulling
it's
it off
just
now.
I don't know if it's just that it was purposely left to this to like give Kirk an arc so that now he finally feels like the Kirk that we're going to come to kind of know and love in TOS. Or if Paul Wesley just watched a bunch of TOS and watched William Shatner and really got better at playing Kirk in between seasons.
He does the accent without
hits.
lapsing into parody, and that's hard. That's an
It is,
excellent act.
but also he can do the parody as we saw in
The holodeck
in
episode.
the Space
And even
Adventure
then,
Hour earlier this season.
Even then,
That was
just kind
good.
of
I
sits
like
there like real snug, like yeah.
He can do both versions, and I'm thrilled because I really did not like Paul Wesley before this season
Oh,
as Kirk.
okay.
Not at all, not in any way, shape, or
Oh,
form. And,
I
liked him
liked a
both
lot,
as the
actually.
joking parody version of William Shatner and as just Kirk now. I think he's finally got it, and he's got my nod to do whatever they want to do with this. I don't really want this prequel to TOS that we've kind of heard about that might tell some of the early stories before TOS. Like, can we stop in this era? There's so many other stories to tell. But I could now get behind Paul Wesley being the Kirk in that era if that's something they're really
Yep.
serious about exploring. So yeah, this has been quite the episode and quite the talk. So we've got 3 more episodes of the season, and then I can't wait to get into some lobster tail
4 more.
or trivia or 4 more or really anything we want to talk
Lobster
about.
Tail Watchathon, just 24 hours.
Galaxy
Oh, that's
Quest.
24 hours of a lobster tail. That's coming up.
Don't forget
You
to bring
just
your
wait.
own moss.
Bring your own lobster tail. All
And
right.
your own
well,
butter, everybody. It's not free.
that's the butter is the hardest part when you're dealing with $50 lobster.
Yep.
Anyway, we're going to get out of here. I would like to thank all of you, my co-hosts who have joined me here today. And I would like to thank all of you for tuning in. And until we see you again, live long